Hey guys, Peter here to tell you about the latest from Kill the Lights, Death Melodies, out March 8th on Fearless Records. The album has 12 tracks, 46 minutes in length, and this is the band's second full-length studio album. They are a UK-US metalcore band. Now, as far as the design goes, this album definitely offers a very complete, a very mature experience. It's not a journey. It doesn't offer that sort of experience, at least not yet. Maybe in future records they'll take that approach. But it's an album that definitely has a sense of beginning, middle, and end, and has this forward-thinking process to it. You're able to get the most out of the individual tracks, but when you walk away from the record, you're really thinking of what the overall picture was, of how this album felt to you. And I think that's really important, to have the idea that you can create impactful songs, but you can still add those songs together in a certain format in order for the whole record to really jump out and feel like it has something unique to offer. And this album definitely does that. Now, once it comes to the sound, I think what you're going to walk away from this album feeling is that this is a very heavy record. It has huge emphasis on the guitar sound, on the thickness of the guitar sound, on the heaviness of the guitar sound, on the intensity of the guitar sound, on the aggression, and it also mixes in really well melody with that heavier, thicker side that they put together in a way that creates really impactful songs as you progress down the line. Not afraid of bringing other genres outside of modern metal or even metalcore into the picture. There are some thrash metal elements on this record sound-wise, and that there's a song like Sleep with the Devil that brings a country ballad into the fold. So as you could see from this, while the record having that metalcore sound experience, modern metalcore sound experience as its key foundation, they're not afraid of going outside of that genre, picking in influences in order to make for a more dynamic sonic experience, a more dynamic album all around. Sleep with the Devil is definitely a song that you have to check out, because the uniqueness of that track and coming close to the end of the album, it's not by accident. A song like this cannot come anywhere else on the record without creating a jolt and really breaking the fluidity of the record. So allowing you to better digest the experience, better feel that heaviness that the album has, and then introducing something like this in the last third makes it more palpable, and it doesn't take anything away from that overall big picture experience that this record gives. Like I said, a record that it really influences itself by not just the guitar sounds and guitar tones, the diversity of those same guitar sounds and guitar tones, but how heavy and consistently heavy those guitars are. I honestly thought it was one of the pillars of this album. I love the guitar sound all around. I love everything that it does, everything that introduces, the diversity within it, using acoustic guitars, creating a little bit more grooviness, creating a little bit more melody, creating a little bit more heaviness. This is an album where the guitars really showcase everything that this band can do within that one realm, within that one element, and then infusing the right amounts at the right times in order for the record to feel balanced on one hand, but super dynamic on the other. And then you have great bass and great drums, and I think the bass and drums on this record really complement the guitars well. In some songs, the tracks feel slightly overly thick, and I think that comes down to the production of the record. I think some of those heavier songs could have been thinned out a little bit so that you can feel the impact of the guitars a little bit more separate from the impact of the drums and bass, because it feels too blended in as one, and it becomes a little bit more hard to determine which element is doing what. It happens throughout the record. It's not consistent in that way, but it's something that you notice specifically on the heavier songs. Now, I enjoy the drum sound and bass outside of that, because it added space to this record. It made the album a little bit wider, and it gave some depth to the sound, and it definitely complemented well what this record has to offer. The drum sound has the right texture to it, and the bass really complements that texture well, and the overall sound experience. Vocally, this is a very powerful record. The cleans, the more screaming, harsh vocals, the dynamic between the two feels a lot more emotionally connected, not just to the songs, but to the lyrical content. When I look at the debut record and I look at this, I see growth, I see expansion, I see an album that vocally feels better integrated with everything else that is happening. is not just the structure that's more mature, is not just the sound that feels more complete and very dynamic at the exact same time, but also the vocal performance. A very strong album vocally from start to finish, and you see the strength of those vocals and those more stripped down songs, in songs like Sleep with the Devil, where there's no room for you to hide and you're really vulnerable towards the listener and vulnerable in terms of what the lyrical content has to offer. Outstanding sophomore record. Like I said, the only downside for me is that some of the heavier songs feel too thick. The production there, I would like it to see a little bit better defined in terms of allowing the guitars to jump a little bit ahead of everything else, dividing the elements a little bit better so you can see the texture and you can see the layers, the definition of them a little bit better. But outside of that, in terms of what you get from the record, how you feel towards the record, it's definitely not just a step up, this is a leap forward as far as what they did in their debut album compared to now this sophomore release. As far as favorite songs goes, outside of Sleep with the Devil, let me start off with Die Alone. Great guitar riff, thick experience in this song, very driven as well, with the vocals adding to the overall aggression and intensity that the track has, and even adding to the overall movement of the song as well. Mixing the clean vocals with a more screaming style, that adds texture, it adds depth, and it makes the song feel more robust across all the different parameters. Great guitar sounding song with a solid breakdown that elevates the heaviness that comes after and allows the song to close on a very strong note. Next we have Wasting Away. Now this track is a banger. It just has all the right elements. It just comes in hard from the first second. It has an outstanding chorus showcasing what I said earlier, that you could create a song that's heavy, that hits you hard, but when it gets to that chorus, it could still be very hooky and very catchy and very melodic. You don't need to really remove one in order to add the other. You can have both worlds combined in one single song, and I think this is a track that allows you to see the groovier, driven style of the band in the verses, and then that more melodic, catchy, hookier style approach in the chorus, creating a nice movement between the two. It's not like the two are completely separated from one another, but there's a little bit of a speed bump that allows you to see the differences between them, but there's more that connects the two worlds than what separates them. Great track all around. Last but definitely not least, Man Without a Face. This is a very thrashy song. The main riff of this track has this thrash metal sound and experience to it, and when you start off the track with that, you set the song apart. Regardless if you're going to bring elements that are more in line with the rest of the album and with the core DNA of the band, having that opening riff and bringing that riff back constantly really allows you to see that this band can be a little bit edgier. They can bring in other genres to influence their sound within the single umbrella that they reside under. This track is definitely an example of that, of being melodic, of being heavy, of having a lot of movement vocally, super dynamic, mixing really well the cleans and the harsher style vocals. But like I said, that riff, that thrashy riff, really becomes the calling card, and it becomes what separates this song from the others. They do this so well throughout the entire album, making songs that are so well connected, creating a very balanced experience, but then infusing these elements that are unique to specific songs that still allows them to have their own individual fingerprint. In this case with Man Without a Face is definitely that thrashy riff. This is it, Kill the Lights, Death Melodies, out March 8th on Fearless Records. Let me know your thoughts on the band, on the singles. Hit me up in the comment section, and I'll see you all at the next video.